everybody, it's Christina of CraftyPaws. I'm here to share with you guys a back to school card that I crafted for my nephew. He recently left the workforce after being accepted to business school, and we're all so proud of him. I just wanted to create this special card for him and congratulate him on starting this new chapter of his life. We're all so proud of him. And I really wanted to use this background stencil. It's from Altenew. It's called the Weave Builder stencil. And ever since I saw this, I got this months ago, but I just haven't had a chance to use it. And I can't help thinking of that old video game called bert. I don't know if that ages me or whatever, but I absolutely love that game, and I have been waiting for the right opportunity to use this stencil to create a fun, summery, colorful background. So I'm using some Tim Holtz Distress inks. That first color was mustard seed. The next color, and I'm lining up the stencil to do the right side of each of the cubes or the weave pattern. And that next section I'm going to be coloring up with Twisted Citron. And the blender brushes that I'm using, I've had in my stash for a while. I know a lot of people are using those makeup brushes or picket fence blender tools, but I absolutely love these blender brushes. They are from Clarity Stamp, and I wouldn't actually recommend using these blender brushes for detailed stencils like this. You'll see later on when I add the third color that I use a different blending tool, the standard kind of sponge brush blending tool that Tim Holtz put out. But I had these out close to my desk, so I thought I would give them a try. It's just that the bristles kind of get underneath the stencil if you're not very careful. This third color, I had set aside the background for a while, and I colored up a couple of images, which I'll share with you next. But I didn't know if I wanted to just keep it with the mustard seed and this Twisted Citron, or if I wanted to add a third color. And I decided to make it a little bit of a richer background. I would add this peacock feathers. And you can see that I have to move over the stencil a little bit so I can get in the corners, because the stencil I have at like a 60-degree angle. So to get the edges or the leftmost corners, I needed to move over that stencil. Now for the images, I thought these bunnies were so stinking cute. These are from Picket Fence Studios. It's from the Peach and Piper stamp set. And I decided to color up this little bunny that's sitting straight up because the position of it kind of reminded me of that old bert character. I mean, it's totally different, but I thought that this little bunny could easily be positioned to stand or sit on top of one of the cubes of the background. So I'm coloring up this bunny so that it has like a, light tan brown color combination. And the W0 I've used for the white areas around the little muzzle or mouth and nose and on the belly. And I'm adding the darkest color at this point underneath the shadowed areas, the bottom parts of the arms, the bottom or base of the ears, underneath the cheeks. Those are all colored in with the E23. And I'm blending out to the E53 and the E50, which was the base color. And I'm blending back out with the lightest color at this point. I wanted to keep this bunny fairly light and so that it would pop from the colorful background. I've also decided to color up the nose with that same brown. Now for the studious bunny that's reading a little book, I decided to repeat the colors that I had used in the weave background with the book color. So the pages are colored with the Y02 and the book back or the cover is colored up with a BG11 and a 15. And I did a little bit of point-to-point coloring so that I could get a good color blend there. And at this point, I don't realize that I've got this image stamped on the horizontal of the piece of cardstock. I thought I would just do a single layer inside liner. So I'm coloring up a little grassy base for this bunny with a YG25. Then I go forward and I'm deciding to color up the bunny with a kind of a gray color, this neutral gray N0 to N4, and I'm laying in the shadowed areas here. And I'm really liking how this neutral gray is making the bunny still soft looking, but a distinct coloring from the brown bunny that I have on the front of the card. This bunny is supposed to represent my nephew studying hard at business school. And I'm just going back and forth to blend out the area so that it has a nice neutral gray coloring for this bunny rabbit. Then I decide I wanted to warm up the bunny a little bit. It looked too different at this point to me, so I'm using an E50 to add a little bit of warmth to this gray bunny. And I also saw on Google Images that a lot of bunnies have this kind of warm brownish undertone even when they have like a black and white or a gray coloration. So I thought that this added a little warmth and gave the bunnies a little bit more cohesiveness. Now for the card front, I decide I've shaved off little edges of this card front, and I've given myself enough room to do a white mat, a really thin white mat all the way around, because I wanted to have a crisp edge before mounting it to my green card base. And I think that makes a really nice crisp look. And I've popped up the standing bunny on double-sided foam dots. And you know those little edges of the card front that I told you I shaved off? I'm using that to create kind of a base for the reading bunny to sit on the inside of the card. At this point realized that the bunny had been colored up on a horizontal piece of cardstock, so I found a separate vertical cardstock base for the inside liner, and I've fussy cut out that reading bunny, and I'm just kind of creating a little background area with those little scraps, and I'm trying to figure out how the bunny would look sitting on that grass, and I decide I'd like it to be a little bit cleaner, so I'm fussy cutting away all the little white edge around this bunny as well as that grassy area so that it looks like it is actually stamped intentionally on the card liner on top of these little strips of the card front that I used the leftovers of to create that little interesting background. I'm using an X-Acto blade to cut out that little cutout area around the bunny's foot and the leg underneath the book area, and I'm inking the edges as I did with the first bunny, also with a Memento Tuxedo black ink marker to give it a really crisp, clean edge look. Now I've glued that bunny onto that lower right-hand corner of that card liner, and I'm adhering that to the inside of the card. And then for the sentiment for the front, I decided I was going to handwrite "Holy blank, blank, blank," and create a little speech bubble. And I'm using a Faber-Castell Pitt marker to do that. And you'll see it's not perfect, but when I fussy cut this out, it will actually look really perfect in terms of the thickness of that speech bubble. And I'm using my favorite Faber-Castell spring-loaded scissors. It's a reverse kind of scissors, and I find that it's great for my arthritis when that's acting up in my hands, which it is right now. So I'm erasing my light pencil marks there on that speech bubble, and I'm putting double-sided foam dots again on the back of that so that it lines up the perfect depth with that bunny on the front. And then for the inside sentiment, I'm handwriting out "You're going back to school!" exclamation point. I thought that was a really cute way to tie this all in for my nephew for his going back to school card. And then I found a great quote from Steve Jobs that says, "The heaviness of being successful was replaced by the lightness of being a beginner again." I thought that was really appropriate for my nephew going back to school after having been in the workforce for so many years. I love this quote, and I think it's perfect for this card. And that's really it. I had so much fun creating this. It's been a while since I've been in the craft room, so thank you all for sticking with me and watching this video. I hope you all are having a wonderful crafty day. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.